All right, Jason Rona back here at the Indoor National Series Final. We're here with Spencer Rivkin. And Spencer, you've been on a tear this year. And, we wanted to catch up with you a little bit about it and talk about a little bit of your year. We talked with Ryan Mayfield earlier, and we kind of went through his here. But, yours been very successful in your own right. And, the summer was just a tear. So talk to us a little bit how it started and then kind of getting into the summer a little bit.
Yeah, obviously with the new year, I had a lot of sponsors being changed. Of course, my main sponsors, Team Associate and JConcepts, were kept the same. I brought in Hobby Wing for the electronics, Futaba with the radio, Savox with the servos, of course with A-Main Hobbies, and ProTech with the accessories and the batteries. It was a little bit of a learning experience going into the year. I wouldn't say it was a bad, just the beginning of the year. I was still able to podium at CRC, a podium at Reedy Race, podium and one at the Desert Classic. But yeah, I would say, for my standard and the kind of the norm that I want to have, I always want to see myself do really well. No question about it. The equipment that I have and the ability that I know I have, getting a podium at all races is definitely something that I know I'm capable of. But yeah, like you said, the end of the summer, it was been amazing. Was able to wrap my head around, just focus on driving and having some fun with my teammates, working together really good, learning some of the abilities that I've never really used before, of just being more mentally tough at these races, especially the Nitro ones. I had a really good showing at the Roar Nationals at Thornhill in Hutto, Texas, and I was able to podium in the truggy class. Had an amazing battle with Ryan Mayfield, and it was kind of like a repeat from 2016 that we had. So I was able to finish off second in the pro truggy class, and had a really good main event in the nitro buggy class. Was able to win that, and it was awesome. The whole weekend we were working really good with the team. Brent, Richard, my pit crew, TJ Eller was there, Alex Kashushek, Jackson Brunson, all those guys put on an amazing show for the whole team. And we moved on to the Roar Nationals at
Ian Hobbies.
EN Hobbies. Yeah, I always get that mixed up. And we showed up with a new JConcepts had a new tire there. It was the JConcepts Ellipse in the silver compound. Is something that we debuted out there, and we had been working up towards to getting that tire released. And the track was awesome. Like I said, we were working really good as a team there as well with Dustin Evans, Alex, Brock, Jackson, and we really put on a good showing. And we finished strong. I was able to podium in the four-wheel drive class. Had a good battle with Ty and Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
Mayfield had a good showing in four-wheel in his classes. He was able to get the win there in four-wheel. And then for myself in two-wheel drive, I was able to TQ and win. It was definitely a battle to the end with Ty and myself for the two-wheel drive overall win. I was able to bounce back after A1 and from getting second, and I would win out A2 and A3. And then in short course is something I've always been wanting to get over Dakota or Cavalieri, and I was finally able to get the win in the short course class. I was super stoked on getting that, and it was a good battle with me and Alex and Dakota, and just a well-respected group of guys to race it out at Ian Hobbies at the Roar Nationals, and I was able to capture the win there.
So before we move on from the Nats, we'll rewind a little bit and say, you talked right away about, making the changes with the sponsors, going to the Hobby Wing, going to, ProTech stuff, the Savox servos, Futaba radio, big changes. You pretty much changed almost everything but, your tires and your chassis. But talk to us about that transition a little bit more, about how you had to kind of dial it in to what you felt would work for you. Making the radio adjustments huge for a big, a top-end pro-level driver. And then how'd you make that transition, and what did you learn along the way about just kind of inching your way up to getting comfortable with the new equipment?
Yeah, like you said, with the big changes, the biggest thing was just getting more comfortable with the feel of everything, with electronics being changed and how the different setting changes that you were able to make with the electronics for Hobby Wing. Learning the stuff with Ron Schur and Hobby Wing, dealing with, learning with the guys, seeing setup sheets that, my teammates like Bruno Coelho, Ty Testman, all those guys that would see what they were tuning. It was a big change. I thought that the electronic stuff would, I thought everything would be pretty similar nowadays, but it's actually not. There was a lot of things that I had to relearn. We had a lot of time development with the Reedy stuff along the years, and once I kind of figured the electronic stuff out, I had to also figure at the same time, the Futaba radio switch. It was something towards the end of last year, I was able to test all the radios, the M12S, the M17, and along with the Futaba 7PX. And I really just liked the ergonomics of how the Futaba felt. I really liked that the transition of changing settings on the go was so easy and straightforward. It's something that people don't really realize that us pro racers do a lot, is we take advantage of the radio settings because these tracks have been so much different than we've ever seen, and to see these super complex settings that these radios have. And if you actually take the time to read the manual, figure it out, or even ask your local heroes of the track see what they do, and really learn what the settings do, it's really helped me along the way, especially towards this whole year, just really learning with the stuff. And working with the guys at Futaba USA there in Alabama has really been a lifesaver, because those guys, you can call them on the phone for customer service help. They're here locally. It's something that you don't see here in the States a lot for tech support. But yeah, it's just been an amazing experience along the way. As I've gotten older, I've seen a lot of different directions that you can go, and I've just been really stoked on how the direction that I'm going, hanging out with Jason Rona, Brent Thelke, listening to my dad. Just hearing people's advice and just learning along the way, it's been the biggest thing.
So, another sponsor here that you talked about as ProTech, they provided kind of a lot of things that I didn't really expect to really see in the pits and notice as being really helpful. But, between the chargers I noticed you've been using, and you got all these items that have really contributed to the success throughout this summer run and everything. Explain a little bit about the items you're using from them that people might not expect, and the charging systems and all the type of things that you're using there.
Yeah, of course, the guys at A-Main Hobbies and ProTech, working with those guys over there have been awesome. The small nitpick accessories that they have with the car accessories, I use a lot of their trick stuff that they have, like the diff thrust ball stuff inside the diffs. It's a super easy component that I use to make the diffs last longer, more efficient, and creates more grip. And of course, they make the batteries. They're one of the biggest companies that get the batteries, and they're always the first pick to get the best cells, the longevity of that stuff, the more C rating, more milliamps. And on top of it, the small little accessories, the pit lights, the chargers. I've been love using the little accessories like the tools, the shock pliers. They make it all, and they have a good variety of accessories along the board with all the manufacturers' cars and accessories. And it's just been a nice icing on the cake. Having a company by your side that does all that.
Talk about the batteries a little bit. I mean, they're one of the first ones I remember having this silicone graphene name on there. Talk to us about using those and the power you get from those type of cells. And you run a modified, but we got a big triple here. We got big jumps that we're doing now, and the power is real critical, and a lot of it comes from the batteries. I noticed that last weekend I was racing with my monster trucks. We'll have to get you out there one of these days.
I'm
but
excited for that.
There's a lot of power that comes from there too.
Yeah, the one of the things that I've been actually doing a lot of conversation about with Chad Bradley at ProTech. He's a big part of their testing and development stuff over there at A-Main Hobbies and ProTech. And they honestly get first choice for the newest and latest and greatest choices in batteries that come out from these main manufacturers that actually make these batteries. And they're definitely the ones that will always get the best battery cells, the first dibs on the highest C rating, and learning about the milliamps and all that stuff. And yeah, the battery stuff nowadays, especially with the modified and the stock division classes, it's very important to have a good solid battery, especially the C rating, because that gives you the instant quick burst to do these jumps. And on top of it, you don't want a battery that's gonna puff up after a race weekend, and you just spent $100 and something on a battery, and with but that comes with having a bad manufacturer's battery. And with A-Man Hobbies, they don't have that at all. And it's been super stoked on how my equipment's been lasting the whole year. I've been running the same stuff since the beginning, unless I actually had to put a car on the shelf from winning an event or not. But it lasts, and that's the biggest thing. I don't want to go through batteries. I hate to see people buy a battery and go through another battery, every other, every quarter or so,
Yeah.
so forth. And it's important. And yeah, it's been working good.
So let's roll into the biggie. Did the Worlds of Slovakia. We talked to you. We had videos there, but let's talk a little bit about kind of the after effects. You kind of, when it sets in a little bit, and just kind of regrouping and getting back into the racing. I know it's not easy coming off a big win like that. We talked to you there during it. Everyone's excited, but then you get back. A couple weeks go by, and then you got to get back in the rhythm and race again, right?
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that I was really looking forward to. You have that. I had that big win there in Slovakia. It was an amazing experience. But at the end of it, it's time to move on. You move on to the next race, and we were right back a few weeks later going to Michigan for the JConcepts INS race over there. And it was a little bit of a struggle getting back in, coming off a huge emotional roller coaster, especially there at the Worlds. And I was talking to Jason about it. I didn't quite have the showing that I would have liked to have had at RC Clubhouse, but I kind of salvaged a couple good runs in the main. I actually wasn't really feeling good on main day, but I was able to podium in two-wheel drive and just be shy of the four-wheel drive podium. But yeah, it's very important to move on from these races. It's important to have a short memory, and a lot of people kind of walk around with a big head and everything. But the biggest thing that I've always tried to go for is just be consistent long term and not try to have these huge roller coasters up and huge roller coasters go back down. Just kind of slow and steady wins the race, and learning along the way has been the biggest thing. And it's always cool to have those kind of big, huge wins. But I prefer to be good at all the events and be fast and consistent.
Yeah, what I kind of thought is one of the races that kind of stuck out to me but didn't get as much of the limelight, I guess you could say, is when you did Surf City this year. It felt like to me you kind of won those two mains more off of a little bit of some heady driving. It was more like you weren't just blasting around to a TQ and you hold on to it and win the race. I think you had to kind of put your head down there a little bit more and win that race more on a driving side, not a speed side. And to me, that was a little bit of a turning point, because I felt like, all right, now you're kind of getting the whole package together. It's not just about that day that you're the magical man out on the track. You're turning these amazing laps. Now you can settle in. You get a start, second, third, fourth, pick your way through, take advantage of those opportunities that are given to you, and you can make a day that's not supposed to be your day. You can turn that into your day too.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I was able to kind of recognize after we always recap, Jason and I, and talk about RC nerding out. But yeah, I was able to go back and watch the film. That's something that I've always done as a racer. I always go back and watch the racing film after an event, regardless of how I finish or where I finish or if I'm in the main or not in the main. And I was able to recognize that. I mean, Brock was able to TQ two-wheel drive, and especially I think I qualified third or second. I can't really remember. With those long 10-minute races, it's like, look, anything can happen. You got to be patient. You got to focus on driving for the whole 10 minutes. And I was able to make some adjustments along the way with the situation that arise for me. And I was able to take advantage of just some mistakes and just drive a flawless rest of the 10-minute race. And yeah, like you said, it's just taking. You don't want to force something that's not yours, and take a day that maybe it didn't look like it was going to be yours, and becoming arising to that occasion to win that. And a lot of these natural races, especially the natural races, is something that I've been wanting to focus on more on, kind of mastering that side of the thing. And it just really makes a big difference of doing so.
So we kind of recap there. We come off the Worlds. You get back again. We do the INS, and then we did the Kinwald event at Hobby Action, which was really cool. It was fun to see a lot of guys. We had some vintage racing. You had to go there, of course, and race, not only at a high level, but show your respect for your buddy Kinwald, right?
Yeah, that was a race that I was really looking forward to. Unfortunately, we had had to do that event quite early in Brian's life, but seeing all the guys come out that respected Brian, especially the guys in California, it was awesome to see Jason and Allison from JConcepts come out, and the guys at Hobby Action put on a great show for Brian. The guys over there in Arizona were always a big part of Brian's livelihood towards the end of Brian's life, and to really just celebrate it and talk about the old fashion stories that they had with Brian, regardless of going bowling or going eating at Denny's or Waffle House. It was some good times, and to see everyone race it out, have fun. The vibe of that race was something that I've never really experienced before, and it was really similar to actually the Reedy race, but in a little bit different of a format, of course. And it was awesome and that was actually a difficult race for me to have the wins there, to race it out with Tommy Hines, Tanner Denny, Jackson Brunson was there, Tanner Steves was there, and of course all the locals that raced there. And to really race it out for Brian, I know he enjoyed watching, and I'm looking forward to going back there again for that race and supporting the Crohn's disease, and then it was awesome. We got a huge donation from everyone. I think it was
$6,000.
And it was just incredible. It was definitely something that we're thankful for.
So as we finish this thing up, we got a race doing here. It's kind of our last race of the year here at Beach RC for most. And talk to us how you want to finish this thing off. I think you're in good position in the points. And, this great track. I mean, this thing is really fun to drive. I mean, I'm actually running this weekend to get an idea what you guys are going through. But talk to us about how you want to finish it off, and then thank your sponsors.
Yeah, like you said, we're here at Beach RC in Myrtle Beach. This place has an awesome facility out there in the track. Brent and his crew do an amazing job putting on an awesome show. Awesome hobby shop we're in, and of course with the huge jump, the huge triple out there, the dirt's awesome. But I really want to finish out strong. I think a solid podium would be good. Maybe TQ around here and there and see where I end up. I really just want to race it out with the guys. I want to race hardcore. I want to leave everything out on the line, no excuses, and just to see where that leaves me. I'm sure if I do that, drive my heart out, I'm sure I'll be right there in contention for the win. But of course, I want to thank Jason for having me on with JConcepts. I want to thank my sponsors, Team Associate, Hobby Wing, JConcepts, Salvox, ProTech, A-Main Hobbies, and of course, the guys at OCRC, Hobby Action, Stick at One, Fataba, all those guys that do an amazing job to keep me going and racing and doing what I love to do.
And you got the MX Power.
MX Power, yeah, especially for the natural races. I'm sure I left a couple out there, but it's a lot.
Well, we appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. Thanks for checking in with us. Spencer Rivkin, world champion, 2 times now. The 2-wheel buggy class, hardest class probably there is to win. 8 scale might be the most difficult, but 10 scale buggy probably
We'll see if we
the
can
hardest.
get one day.
So good luck, and we'll see you out on track.
Thank you.